Hello, how you doing? It's Phil Thatch on location at Disney's Vero Beach Resort in Florida. And today I'm going to be taking a look at a prime lens from Viltrox. It's their 50mm f2 autofocus prime lens for full frame cameras. This one is for Nikon Z cameras. So here's a look at the lens. It's pretty typical for recent lenses from Viltrox in their Air series. It's all plastic construction, except it does have a metal mount, and you can see a USB-C port for firmware upgrades in the future. It has a 58mm pinch style lens cap. Here's the lens hood. It is very attractive. I like the shape of it. Not a pedal style, so it's easy to set your camera down, face forward, and it should balance pretty well. Goes on and off really easily, fits snug, and has a smart appearance. The lens has only one control. It is a focus by wire manual focus. Of course, this lens is autofocus, and in my experience, it focuses well. I haven't had to use this at all. The lens has a 9-blade aperture, and the minimum focus distance is a 0.5 meter or 1.67 feet. Also in the box is a warranty card, a link where you can download a PDF of the owner's manual, and a nice bag to store the lens in. So here's my Nikon Z8. Let's see how this lens looks on this fabulous camera. Clicks right into place. No play. Looks good on there. It's kind of small for this camera. It would probably look better on a Z5 or a Z6 or a Z7. The Z8 and Z9 might be a little big for it. But overall, it does have a nice look to it. So what I'm going to do while we're down here on vacation in Florida, I'm going to make shots of my family with this lens on my Nikon Z8. And let's take a look at those pictures that I was able to capture with this lens right now. All right, here's the first photograph with the 50mm Viltrox lens f2. This is at a crab restaurant. My daughter loves to eat fancy crabs, but we in Tennessee don't get that opportunity too often. So whenever we go to Florida, I always make sure to take her out for a crab dinner. This is 1/400th of a second wide open at f2 and ISO 450. I made a portrait of her in front of the giant crab on the wall there at the restaurant. This is 1/400th of a second f2 and ISO 1800. Here she is concentrating on the paper towels, which she will be needing when her crabs arrive at the table. Another shot at f2 and 1/400th of a second. At 2800 ISO, there is a pretty good bit of noise in this photograph. I haven't used any denoise software, but I just wanted to show you the sharpness of this lens wide open at f2. I handed the camera to Heather, and she made this photograph of me there at the crab restaurant, also 1/400th of a second f2 and ISO 4000. I think it renders nicely. And my daughter's crab dinner has arrived, so I made a photograph of her with that. This is another shot at 1/400th of a second f2 and 2800 ISO. Later that evening, we went to the bar at Disney's Vero Beach Resort and played some trivia, and I made this photograph of my daughter there. This is 1/250th of a second wide open at f2 and 3200 ISO. Even through her glasses, her eye is nice and sharp in this shot. This photograph of my daughter and my son-in-law was made in the lobby area, the second floor of the 4-story lobby area of Disney's Vero Beach Resort. This is 1/250th of a second f2. Not much light there. This is 7200 ISO. And then here is a photograph of the super cute Heather Thatch there on the second floor, looking out at the bokeh-fied lights in the background of Disney's Vero Beach Resort hotel lobby. This is also 1/250th of a second f2. Lots of ISO in this, 5600. We went down to the beach for a little bit, and I made this photograph of my daughter wide open at f2, 1/400th of a second, and ISO 80. Let's check the sharpness. Looking pretty sharp, and the out of focus background is rendered nicely. Here's another photograph of Heather. This is on the 4th floor, and I've got Heather looking up at the camera, and I'm pointing down at the floor 4 stories below. This is 1/250th of a second f2 and ISO 4500. This is a couple of days later down at the beach. This is wide open at f2 of my daughter and my son-in-law, 1/1000th of a second, ISO 450. Here's a shot of Heather there on the overlook of the beach. This is also f2, 1/125th of a second, ISO 64. Looks nice and sharp on her eye. I love the way Heather does her hair when we're on vacation. She doesn't straighten it, and I really enjoy the curls. There's my daughter and son-in-law looking out at the ocean from the overlook there at Disney's Vero Beach Resort. This is f2, 1/125th of a second, ISO 64. Heather made this photograph of me leaning against the railing with the ocean in the background. I like the way this turned out. I especially like the way these two people are framed in between the slats of the railing there. This is f2, 1/250th of a second, ISO 64. And looks like I'm pretty sharp in this shot, and it's just rendered beautifully. I like the colors as well. I made this shot of this lone figure walking down the beach. I think that's a really, really cool shot. Way in the background, there's a pelican flying around, and just love this. This was getting close to sunset. Lots of cool colors and layers in this shot. I stopped the camera down to f5.6 for this one. This is 1/250th of a second and ISO 180. My daughter made this photograph of Heather and I. I still had the camera at f5.6 for this one. Maybe I would have liked it better at f2, but I think it looks great at f5.6. This is 1/250th of a second, f5.6 and ISO 1100. I stopped the camera back down to f2. This is the walkway that goes from the overlook of the ocean over to the pool area at Disney's Vero Beach Resort. And I made this photograph of my daughter and her husband at 1/250th of a second, ISO 800, wide open at f2 with the Viltrox 50mm lens. I stopped the camera down to f5 to make a photograph of the fantastic water slide there at Disney's Vero Beach Resort. This is 1/250th of a second, ISO 560. Love this photograph that I made of Heather, giving me a little smirk. Wide open at f2 there in the pool area at Disney's Vero Beach Resort. This is 1/200th of a second and ISO 1100. All right, thanks for watching this quick review of the new Viltrox 50mm f2 full frame autofocus lens for Nikon Z series cameras. I hope you enjoyed this content. If you did, reach down, hit thumbs up. If you want to see some more stuff like this, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, I look forward to seeing you in my next video. Bye-bye.